everybody, we are back today with Brandy of Brandy Astrology, and we are going to be discussing the astrology surrounding the death of Brandon Lee, who was killed in the last week of filming The Crow. This happened on March 31st, 1993. Because I might be stupid, but I don't fully understand exactly what happened. So I'm going to read from Wikipedia what it says happened with this, because I don't 100% understand. Again, maybe I'm stupid. It says in a film shoot prior to the final scene, which is what they were filming. The final scene. Yeah, okay. The gun that was used as a prop, a real revolver, was loaded with improperly made dummy rounds, improvised from live cartridges that had the powder cartridges removed by the special effects crew, so in close-ups, the revolver would show normal-looking ammunition. However, the crew neglected to remove the primers from the cartridges, and at some point before the fatal event, one of the rounds had been fired. Although there were no powder charges, the energy from the ignited primer was enough to separate the bullet from the casing and push it partway into the gun barrel where it got stuck. Apparently I can't read. Where it got stuck, a dangerous condition known as a squib load. So that's essentially what happened.
They basically took a real bullet and took stuff out of it and put it back, and then it still really wasn't, there was enough to make it propel. Yes. And the impact of the metal.
Yes.
Okay.
That's kind of what I can get from this too. Like I said, I'm not 100, but that's kind of what I've gathered. The other thing about this, I believe, it's on what?
It sounds like a freak thing. Like it's not really.
Yes.
Yeah.
It definitely does. And from what I understand, also the person who was in charge of this kind of thing was gone. Wasn't there at the time. I'm not sure if they were just gone for the day or if they were gone because most of the film had been finished. That part I'm not 100% sure about, but they weren't there.
That's crazy. I guess.
Yes. That's what I was reading about in another article last night. Like that. And I don't know if that would have made a difference. I'm not trying to blame that person or, for not being there, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something this I thought was interesting. But yeah, should we start looking at charts?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the first chart is for 12:30 a.m. on March 31st, 1993. This is when he was actually shot with this. They were filming the scene. He falls back, gets hit, falls back. They don't realize that he's not acting when this happens. And then when the scene is over, they're like, oh, he's not getting up. What's going on?
Oh my goodness. They were filming late. This is like 12:30 in the morning hours.
From what I was reading, that's when they would film. I mean, because a lot of that movie's dark and gloomy. So they did a lot of the filming at night. A large portion of it was done at night. If it wasn't rainy, they had rain things pouring on them all the time, misting on them. What stands out to you?
Well, I normally go for the ascendant ruler first, but for some reason, the descendant ruler, because descendant is in Gemini, ruled by that Mercury in Pisces. So Mercury in Pisces, it's in a fall. It's not, and I'm talking forensically, it's not a real smart Mercury. You know what I mean? And so it's whatever, if there's a person responsible or just a cause, this really seems to maybe point some negligence. This is kind of how I take it. Okay, maybe this wasn't a good idea to kind of home make something. That's standing out to me. Is that Mercury?
Okay. Yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah. Now, natally, Mercury in Pisces, that does not mean the native is not smart. I want to just be very specific. I'm looking at this forensically and kind of looking at the condition of Mercury. So I don't want to offend anybody. This is totally different. Now Brandon Lee would be the Jupiter in Libra, and it's
Retrograde.
Yes.
And he's got that, and that ascendant is dead ass like on the galactic center.
Yes.
Which I feel like, you know, after all the ramblings that I've done about the GC and other videos, well, I think it's a really cool ass fucking place. I think in this kind of a context, it could totally show weird fucking shit. Just
that would fall under that category. This is weird fucking shit that happened to him.
It is weird. It is weird fucking shit. Like very, very weird fucking shit.
Now we're gonna do kind of, you know, we like to do similar themes every week. And I'm gonna also be doing a video on accidental shootings on movie sets, or props gone wrong, whatever. There's some similarities to the chart. So I just want to say when you're watch both, there's similarities here. I'm already seeing some things. So it's interesting. Yeah. I find it interesting that the descendant, that Mercury being in the third house, that's just weird to me. Like, why? Like, I'm expecting an event like this, something to be more angular or more intense. Third house with movies, I guess they're a form of communication.
Yeah, they are. Well, and I also think of, like, you know, Pisces, you know, modernly ruled by Neptune. That can also be like cameras and shit. So maybe, but yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's not, you would think it would be in another house.
Yeah, I would. That part surprises me. And in the one I'm doing, we're going to see the descendants in the third house too. Yeah. So I'm finding that, yeah, things that make you go,
What about that moon co-rules the chart in the 7th house?
Right by
Mars.
Like
Mars in a fall.
Mars
in a fall.
Mars ruling gunshots.
So it's not, so in a fall here, it's like, it's not like that kind of, I guess, makes sense here with the little, like, because it wasn't like, I mean, it was a bullet, but it wasn't like a bullet. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Right. But, you know, a Mars in Cancer, the way I like to think of that, the reason it's a fall is because Cancer does not have the boundaries. It's water, right? It has nothing to contain it. This makes me feel like a gunshot that's very much out of control. It's not a control.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that to me, that might make some sense in this situation. There's I want to say a homemade basically prop. I mean, the gun's a real homemade type prop bullet.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bad idea. Of course, yeah, you know, hindsight's 2020, but it's like, this isn't well controlled.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Of course, a moon, you know, co-ruling Brandon also serves as like an amplifier.
Like a quartz.
Yes. It's interesting in the 7th house, though.
Yeah, because it's usually a house that deals with perpetrator or the cause, but it's actually like being conditioned by that Gemini energy there, right? With that Mercury and Pisces, there could be some of that just like not well thought out.
Yeah.
Thing going on.
Now, since the time this has happened, I remember when this happened. I mean, ever since it happened, it seemed like there's always been conspiracies of whether this was done on purpose. Of course, his dad, there's always been conspiracies of whether he was murdered or if it was, I'm trying to remember, didn't they say it was a allergy to aspirin or something?
It's not to aspirin. It was to something else that they sell. I guess they sold in Hong Kong. It was something kind of similar.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
it was something, it's something I've never fucking heard of or seen before, but I guess it's sold over the, or was sold over the counter. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
like there's always been this like question of have these people been taken out on purpose, or are they just freak accidental deaths? And so,
or is
yeah,
there a curse? I've seen it said that there a curse on this family.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So it just kind of, that question there, kind of, it's in the chart, it kind of, especially with his ruler being retrograde and these kind of things, I can see why it's not put to rest.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's, I was gonna, yeah, yeah. Because we've seen that quite a bit when like the ruler is retrograde. One of the rulers, there's questions about what actually happened, or conspiracy like theory sorts of things pop up. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we do have Uranus in the first house, which, right by Neptune, they're conjunct. That could be a sign of an accident, just something, it's definitely a sign of something unexpected happening to them.
What's the it's 21, right? 2154.
21, yeah.
Let's see. I don't know. It's kind of smack between the 1948 and 2349.
Oh, okay.
One of them is interesting, the 1948 martial arts.
Oh,
because he did, I mean, he Brandon Lee did do martial arts and shit, so
yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Ability to command, liberality, and a word I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Not even gonna attempt to do that. That's interesting. What about that 13 Pisces?
Yes. And by the way, I've had a couple comments where people are asking where we're looking up the fixed stars. This is Criminal Astrology, Volume 1 by Kirsty McIntosh, and she has some of the main fixed stars listed. It's a quick reference.
Yeah.
Let's see, Pisces.
It's kind of close to that. I mean, I don't know. It's like 2 degrees. It's a little over 2 degrees.
Yeah, let's see. The sudden success in public office, religious benefits, access to another realm.
Huh.
Now, did you see the 9 degrees Libra? Or
that was gonna be the next one I was gonna.
Yeah, that one's interesting.
Falsity, folly, disgrace, stealing, widowhood, depression, witch hunts, mysticism, and the occult.
I don't know what all theories are out there. I just know like there's the theories of, was this guy killed on purpose or what? But that's kind of, I wonder if there's any craziness around that.
Yeah. I mean, that one is kind of interesting being him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know that I really believe in. I mean, I think okay, there can be like generational things that are passed down, right? People have to deal with. But I don't know that I believe in quote curses in the context that I think people say curse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like we're just discussing that around the Kennedys, because like they say the same thing about their family, right? Like there's just they're cursed, because all the tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now Brandon Lee and his dad died in completely different ways. So it's hard to like, even though they're both kind of freak, they both die young. I wouldn't say they're necessary. I don't look at it like they're linked, like, oh.
Yeah, I don't really either. But I can totally see why questions with that Jupiter retrograde I can see why questions pop up about it and why. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Should Should we look at the one for when he died?
Yes.
Actually died.
Died.
Okay, so he he passed later on that same day at, I think I have 103 on here. I think it was actually 104, but that's very, very close.
So he lived
Okay.
about 12 hours.
Yeah, and he was actually in surgery, I think, for 5 or 6 of those hours, and then they took him to like trauma, like recovery, and he passed there, I believe.
Okay. It's interesting. You now have that moon and Mars now in the 12th house.
Yep, you do.
And then Saturn, which is like death, it rules, it's the body. It's like practically on the 8th house cusp. It's just minutes away.
Yes.
Yeah.
That definitely stood out to, yeah.
And you got Pluto in the 4th, like lots of death markers here now.
Yep. Yeah, there are.
And now his ruler's in the 3rd.
Yep. From the, yeah. meeting where that other one was, where Mercury was.
Yeah.
Now Mercury's in the 8th. Yeah.
As far as like the outcome, was anyone held responsible, or was just this at least in the eyes of the law seen as an accident?
I think it was just seen as an accident. I don't believe somebody can correct me, anybody watching this, that if I'm not correct, you can correct me about that, but I don't believe anybody was.
That would make sense, with the 4th house being in Libra, being that combust Venus, that, not saying anyone necessarily should be held accountable, but just showing there's not, at least negligence not seen, or, the outcome, not really having an outcome, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also, that Venus is also retrograde, which kind of makes things even less like clear.
Again, not put to rest. It's going to kind of keep, I have to say though, looking at the charts, it does look accidental to me.
Yeah, I think it, yeah, just like, and like within that other chart with the GC being the ascendant, that to me just like kind of screams like weird shit. Weird freak shit.
Yeah. It's freak for sure.
Yeah, really
very sad, very unfortunate. And we were talking about his zodiacal releasing, and he hits a peak period in March of 1994. So like 11 months, almost a year. I think it was beginning of March that he hits it. Like 11 months later, after he dies, he hits this peak period with his career, which interestingly, during that peak period is when The Crow is released, and where he gets, I think he was more famous then.
Oh, yeah.
I know from just living through this time period, I didn't know of him until he died. That's when his name became, well known. And I hate to say it that way, but it seemed like he posthumously had more fame.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mean that insensitively. I just kind of mean like, he became the star of, and everybody was seeing this movie. And interesting how the zodiacal releasing still continued to work.
Even after he had, passed on. Yeah. That is. Is there anything else that you want to say about charts or anything?
Not necessarily. I guess I'll just reiterate, just seems, I don't see the conspiracy in the charts. I can see where it's represented by retrogrades, but
yeah.
I after looking at the forensics, I would say, this is just a freak accident, tragic, terrible.
Yeah, that's how, I'm We on the same page.
It's sad.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it is. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and head off, but do you want to share where you can be found?
Thank you. Yes, brandyburrowastrology.com, where I do tarot and astrology readings. And Ellie, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Let's F with Astrology. You can find me on my website at SaturnSeason.com. You can find me on Instagram at Saturn Season Astrology. Thank you so much for wanting to do this.
Thank you for having me. These are always so fascinating.
They are. They are a hell of a lot of fun. That sounds sick, but they are fun to, yes.
It's fun to dive into the astrology. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess to everyone else, I'll see you later.